Hello and welcome back to an update of the Canadian gun owner interview. I'm back with McLaurin. How you doing, man?
McLaren. You got it. Oh, you got it wrong again, McLaren.
McLaren, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. So we're doing an update. We're gonna chat with them and see what's going on, see what's different going on in Canada, seeing what's different since last time we talked. So how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Oh, I've been better. So, but you know how it is. So what's going on in Canada?
Not a whole lot. Like again, it's just been nothing but coronavirus related business going on here for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, as far as the gun ban goes, like I mentioned earlier, it's pretty much nothing's changed yet because we're not allowed to really talk about anything else here other than coronavirus. So no other business is really being conducted as of right now.
Yeah. It's pretty much the same, pretty much everywhere. That's all they've been talking about for the past. How long has it been? A year already. So yeah, I completely understand that. So I guess what about what's been going on with you? Did you get any new guns? Any going on hunting trips? Going on any vacations? What's going on with you?
Nothing really as far as that. Like it's mostly just been doing occasional work here and there, and just trying to keep myself busy. Like I have gotten a couple of new guns, and that's what I wanted to go and grab before the interview started, so I can kind of give people an idea about like I don't know, just the effectiveness of the gun ban. Maybe like show people like kind of why it's not a very effective measure for safety and stuff like that. So
Yeah. So you still have your black scary rifle? You still got that? It's
yeah,
just
I
a
still have
paperweight.
those scary black guns. I still got them. There was a 2 year amnesty period, so I don't have to hand them in until about like this time next year.
Oh yeah. So it's just a paperweight now. Yeah, holding
Yeah,
up your table.
just sits in my room now.
Yeah, I mean it's total nonsense. But I guess what kind of new guns did you get?
Well, the thing is, like, I wanted to show, like, I'll start off with showing off this one here. I made sure they were cleared. So
Sure.
I have the WK-180C. Gotta
I'll
make
see
sure.
if I can just put you.
There you go. Kind of give you a full view. So this rifle uses AR mags, and it has like an AR safety switch, AR triggers, all that. You got a Picatinny rail on the top. You can put attachments on the handguard. Takes AR stocks as well. So that this rifle, I got this specifically because it didn't make the ban. And the Canadian gun market is really, really all over the place right now because of the ban and the coronavirus. So things are really bizarre in that sense. So this, I'll show you, this got banned. Just making sure I'm not putting the serial number on. This got banned. Okay. This is my AR. Well, it's kind of an AR. It's technically not an AR here in Canada, but it's pretty much an AR. So this got banned. Another tactical rifle I have that did not get banned was this one, the shotgun. This is not a Benelli M4. This is a Canuck operator. So it just like shows you, like I just showed you 3 different guns. Most people, I think, especially if they're not knowledgeable of firearms, they probably wouldn't really be able to tell much of a difference between the 3. But only one of them got banned, and it's just because it's an AR. Pretty much, they just don't like ARs.
Well, that's interesting considering that you can. What was the first one you showed? Is that what 9mm? Is that a 22
No,
LR?
this is 5.56.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it shoots the same as the AR. Uses the same mags. So this
Interesting.
this
I
was
thought they would have. Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
I thought they would have banned it because of the pistol grip and the adjustable stock, but you're allowed to have that.
Yeah, that's the thing. They didn't ban guns based on like certain features. They just literally banned them by name. They just went through like I think they just went like and got a gun catalog and just was like that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. They banned 1,500 different kinds of guns by name. And don't forget they banned like rocket launchers and stuff like that. Like I read through the ban list, right? I read through the whole thing because I obviously had to make sure like to see what guns I owned that were on the list or what guns I'm still allowed to get. And sorry, I'm getting a phone call. Just hang that up. I'll answer that later.
I'll edit that out.
But sorry, what was I saying? Right, they just banned them by name, and they banned like a bunch of rocket launchers. And have you heard of Black Rifle Coffee Company?
Yes, I remember they got stuck on a list too, haven't they?
They got banned. Yeah, like they banned coffee. They banned a coffee company. They banned AR15.com. You know, like you're not even allowed to be an AR-15 enthusiast.
Did they even read that list, or did they just copy and paste it? I mean, what?
That's what I mean. I swear to God, they copied and pasted it. Like, and they were like, "Oh, we're not going to target hunting rifles or shotguns, right?" But they banned anything that has more than a 20 millimeter bore. So that's like a ton of shotguns just banned.
And well, they should put the FUDs in line, and these idiots out here say, "Oh, you don't need AR-15."
Well, exactly. And like, even they ended up like kind of banning airsoft because of some of the guidelines of the ban. A lot of airsofters are now like under fire too. So pretty much anything gun related in Canada here is just being attacked big time. Even if you want some Black Rifle coffee, you're done. So that was kind of funny. But I wanted to show these guns to show that it's like, yeah, they ban stuff, but then people just always make new things that have loopholes and, you know, go through things like, it's like, yeah, you banned my AR, but then like I just go out and buy one of these, you know. The only real issue,
yeah.
Sorry.
The one you're holding, that first one you're holding, actually looks pretty cool. Makes me want to go out and get one. So that's actually still pretty cool, though.
It's just an AR-180, actually, which is also an Armalite design. Same guys that designed the AR-15. It's an AR-180, and a Canadian company called Kodiak Defense just modernized the platform and made that gun. I was thinking about doing a video on it, but I'm worried to do that because I feel like this gun was on their radar for banning because of possibly my video. I'm not trying to toot my own horn and say that I got tons of views or anything.
No worries. I mean, it's same in California and New York. They're stalking. I know in California, they've been stalking people's YouTube channels. Gun owners in California, they've been watching their videos, and so yeah, it happens here too, where they're watching people's YouTube channels. So I do believe you on that. That makes sense.
That's what I mean. And they added this actually, like the first run of the ban. This gun, my AR, was actually not a part of the ban. But then they like added more to it. You know what I mean? So it's not even like, you know, it's a set in stone decision. They can just add stuff. Right. So that's the thing. Like if I could purchase this gun and, you know, and this cost me like $1,200. Right. And they could just ban that today. Right. I could wake up tomorrow morning and find out that it's prohibited. You know, so there's
no process they have to go through in order to put it on a list. There's no hearings or anything. They just say, oh, well, you know, that's on the list now. Like that's Santa Claus or something. So
this time last year, I thought there was a process they had to go through, but apparently not.
Yeah, it's the same it's pretty much the same with the ATF here, to where they have to technically go through a process in order to do stuff, but a couple of times they've just done it. They just did it anyway. So
I watched some gun channels from the US, of course, you know, guys like, you know, Brandon Herrera and you know, Grand Thumb. And yeah, it's so stupid. The ATF just seems to put through rules overnight, and none of them make sense.
No, the ATF is it's what they're doing is just illegal. But it's not just the ATF. It's just really just a brief view of what a lot of these federal agencies are like: the EPA, ATF, you know, these environmental organizations, and all these other, you know, bureaus, to where you have laws, then you have regulations, to where they're technically not laws, but at the same time they are laws. You know, it's interesting to consider they're not anything that Congress voted on or president signed. It's just some bureaucrat in Washington D.C. just came up with it. So yeah, it's just the federal government's out of control in this country. I mean, they did a stimulus bill. I think it was like 9% of it. It was coronavirus relief bill, you know, quote unquote. I don't even know why we're still doing this, considering the economy is getting back and businesses are pretty much opening up. I think California and New York are probably like the only 2 states right now that are still closed and lockdowns or whatever. So the economy is getting better, but yet they keep having to push out more and more of these coronavirus relief bills, quote unquote. But the issue is only 9% of it has to do with coronavirus, and they're not even $2,000. They're just $1,400 checks. And the problem is, so 9% of it's coronavirus. The rest of it is Nancy Pelosi's tunnel, Chuck Schumer's tunnel, teachers unions, payoffs for them, of course. So I'm sure you've heard Nancy Pelosi say, we have to pass the bill to see what's in it. I'm sure you've heard her say that before. So you've heard her quote. That was Obamacare. So they passed this bill without a single Republican vote, no hearings or anything. They just pushed it through, just rammed it through. So it's basically 50-50, 50 Democrats, 50 Republicans, if Kamala Harris splitting the vote. So what they did was they passed that through reconciliation, which is basically what reconciliation is. You don't have to go through the 60 votes to pass it. You have to have, it's basically like for budgetary stuff in order to keep government shutdowns. That's the point of reconciliation. So they just ran that through reconciliation without a single Republican vote. And of course, now we're finding out they've pretty much completely expanded and made permanent the welfare state. They've completely made it so much bigger. So it's a complete just, of course, then they got an infrastructure bill, which is going to have nothing to do with infrastructure. It's basically just going to be a Green New Deal. So I'm sure you've heard of that before. So that's what we got going on. So I guess, what is the political makeup in your legislature, your Congress or Parliament? What's going on there? What have they been up to?
I don't even actually do really any research into exactly how the Canadian government's structured. Mm-hmm. I know that we have different parties. Just about any party can run for to be a major party in Canada for the government, right? So we have a few different parties. It's not just conservatives and liberals. We actually have conservative, liberal, NDP, Green Party. I think there was one for Alberta actually as well, for independent Alberta or something like that. So it's kind of structured based on who gets the majority is kind of what it is. And you get a certain number of seats in the House, and that affects how much power you kind of have. So even though say the Liberal Party gets voted in, Justin Trudeau wins the election, it's not he has complete power or anything like that. It doesn't work like that. All it still has to go through every other party, and they have to make decisions. It's just they have slightly more say in things, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm simplifying the hell out of it. Right.
No, that actually, in a way, I kind of like that system more, where you have to involve everybody. You can't just, what the Democrats want to do right now is just do stuff without any hearings, any Republican support or anything. They just want a simple majority, just ram everything through as fast as they can. Because I think at the way things are going right now, I think they're going to pretty much lose control of Congress. Just the Republicans are going to take control of everything at this point, just the way things are going. I mean, I'm sure, so you've heard of the pipeline, the pipeline that was going from Alberta, Canada to Texas. You aware of that? How Biden closed that?
Yeah, he just that was his first move, wasn't it?
He killed about 2,000 jobs on it. I mean, that was the Dakota Access Pipeline. Yeah. So I guess how big of an effect do you think that have in Canada?
Well, the Canadian economy is based largely on oil and gas, because we have quite a lot of oil and gas production in Western Canada. So that was probably going to have a big effect here as well. I don't work in oil and gas in any way.
My dad used to, actually. Yeah, that's why I'm paying attention to it.
Oh, yeah. And I do somewhat as well, because I know a ton of people in my family even that work in oil and gas, right? And made their whole careers since the 1980s based on oil and gas, right? So it's it's probably going to have a big effect here, right? What'll probably happen is Canada might end up selling oil and gas to China.
Of course.
Canada apparently wants to be butt buddies with China. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not.
No, no, that's fine. I think usually you could talk about China on YouTube. I don't think they have banned people yet for that. So no, I think it's
that lasts.
Mhm.
Come here, buddy. I gotta grab the puppy so he doesn't whine the whole time. I'm just gonna have to hang on to him for now.
Oh, no worries.
Who's that?
Hello.
So,
What kind of breed is he, by the way?
what?
What breed is he?
Mostly Australian Shepherd, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 100% sure his entire breed, but it's mostly Australian Shepherd. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
eat my hair. So
Does he have a
he's a
name?
good little guy. He just doesn't like being left alone.
Mm-hmm. Does he have a name?
Yeah, his name's Atlas.
Atlas. Nice.
Atlas,
I like that. Yeah, I mean it's of course China. I think that a lot of the people I don't know what these people are thinking. Like they just don't seem to understand that a lot of products involve oil, not just cars and gasoline, but it's just it's going to go somewhere. It's going to go to China. It's not going to just disappear. I mean, you guys are obviously going to sell it. The whole point of that pipeline was just to make it easier and cleaner and safer to transport it to Texas, and it was just.
Well, and to be honest,
I don't know.
It's Biden, like I guess, kind of messed up jobs for people in Texas because of the cancellation of that pipeline. But to be honest, like for Canadians, we're just not going to get as good of a deal on our oil and gas. Is really what it is.
Yeah.
Because either way, we might end up building the pipeline anyways and just selling it to somebody else or something like that. But to be honest, the pipeline was already being delayed a lot anyways. I know one of the most common things that I was hearing about the pipeline and why it was being delayed was because they didn't want it going through like Aboriginal protected land. Like a lot of Native Canadian people were like opposed to it because it was going through perhaps like burial grounds and stuff like that, or like through their territory. And so that sets up a lot of debate and discussions to be had about it. And of course, this has been taking years. Like I feel like I've been hearing about pipeline debates since I was a teenager, man.
Well, a lot of this green stuff there's a lot of big money behind this. I don't know how true this was, but I was hearing rumors that apparently they're going to move it on trains now, and apparently a big Democrat donor owns those trains and rails. I don't know. I can't specify that. I can't verify how accurate that is, but I don't know. It's just I have no idea. It makes no sense to me. I mean, how he can sit there and say I'm a big union guy and then turn around and screw them over. I mean, the union workers did not vote for him. They voted for Trump. That was pretty obvious. It was just their union bosses who endorsed him. They're getting kickbacks left and right from it. So it's a complete mess. So, but I guess I guess back to your last time we talked, you were talking to me about how, there's going to be challenges to this ban and stuff like that. Is there like any word on like where these lawsuits are going, or is it just everything's a standstill?
That's the thing, yeah. Like I know a whole bunch of I know even a couple of gun shops here in Calgary when a lawsuit against the Liberal government and stuff like that. But the thing is like I said, because they just basically said, "Oh no, we're not talking about anything else other than coronavirus. So if you want to sue us for the gun ban, you're going to have to wait." And they'll probably make us wait until the amnesty period ends and we have to hand them in anyways. And then they can just give everybody the cold shoulder. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
That's like what's really worrying to me is just how the government here just goes ahead and does whatever they want. And you're kind of seeing that with the Democratic government down where you are, right? They just kind of just do whatever, and anytime anybody opposes it, they just do it anyways.
Oh yeah, I mean they all seem to work. I mean the Democrats, liberals up in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, they all seem to work together. They all talk the same. They all use the same talking points. I mean it's pretty much like the guy I talked to in New Zealand with their gun ban. That's pretty much the same way it worked there. They just did it. They didn't even. They just rammed it through their legislature as fast as they can. I remember what's her name, Jacinda Ardern, I believe is her name. Their prime minister. She pretty much just sat there when she was asked, will people be able to comment on it? She said, ha, 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 they'll have to hurry. So they just
Yeah,
rammed it.
right?
They just
They didn't
rammed
even
it through.
pretend to be
Mhm.
good about it anymore.
Yeah,
And
she literally I forget. I don't know their gun rights group. I don't have a clip of her saying that. I would have pulled up right now, but I just remember that's what they said she did. She just said, "Ha ha, they'll have to hurry." So
oh man,
she's a tyrant. I mean, of course she got reelected because of how well she handled the coronavirus, even though they've pretty much destroyed their own economy there. But yeah, I mean, China pretty much owns Australia and New Zealand, and they're over here buying up lands too. So it's yeah, that's a whole nother a whole nother stuff to go into. But so you're basically locked out of the court system. You can't put cases for. They're just not hearing them. Is what I'm hearing.
yeah, it's pretty much it. Like they're just giving everybody the cold shoulder. Like that was basically how the ban worked back in May of
Hmm.
2020. They're just like, we're banning these guns, and then we're not talking about it after because coronavirus is our top priority right now. But we'll ban the guns.
Yeah.
But
Well,
then
I can already tell you what my government was doing. They were impeaching Trump when that coronavirus stuff was coming out of Wuhan.
yeah,
They were in the middle of impeaching Trump, and they weren't talking about it. They were impeaching Trump, impeaching Trump, impeaching Trump. Of course, Biden was sitting there saying when Trump he shut down travel to China, Biden immediately said, "You're racist, you're homophobic, you're this, you're that." And of course, Nancy Pelosi, she hopped on a plane and ran down to Chinatown in San Francisco and said, "Oh, look, everybody, we're in Chinatown. We're in San Francisco. Come join us. Come join us in Chinatown." And I mean, now it's just like now they're saying that Trump quote unquote lost the election because of the way he handled coronavirus, which is just kind of I don't understand what does that mean? Was he supposed to just walk around with masks, pushing masks, hide under your bed? I mean, I just don't I don't know. I mean, of course, he has this vaccine, which look, I have my own opinions about the vaccine. I don't personally like it. I don't agree with it, but he got the vaccine out pretty fast, and it's just they remember Biden and Kamala, they were all sitting there saying it's not reliable. I'm not going to take it. And of course, they're the first ones who line up and get the damn vaccine. So of course,
yeah.
so I don't know. I don't know what to believe. I don't really believe in what the polling or any of the news says as to what happened, but I can't really go into that because of YouTube.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's I don't know. I just even if this was just like let's obviously this is guns, that's one thing, but let's say this was abortion. They put a restriction on abortion and you were locked out of the court system, you can't challenge it. They would be up and down and say, "Oh, this is tyranny, this is bad." It's just I don't know. I don't. I just doesn't. It just sounds. I don't know if I'm really comfortable with that. Where you can't go to. They've locked you out of the court system, basically. So, is there anywhere in government, in your parliament, in your legislature, is anyone there challenging it?
I know that the conservative leader kind of was against it, and even like Doug Ford, the premier of Ontario, was against it. Like they just made comments against it that it wasn't really going to be effective and stuff like that, and it wasn't cool for them to just go ahead and uh, pass that regulation without any discussion. But at the end of the day, there's nothing they can do. So that they just made that solid rule where it's like, we can make up new rules and we're not allowed to discuss them because coronavirus.
That's pretty. That's wow. That's even worse than I thought it was. But what's
And
that?
a lot of people were upset about a mass shooting that happened here as well. I think it was in Nova Scotia it happened.
Yeah,
It could be
yeah.
wrong.
It was right after that happened. I know he went and did that, and we chatted after that. So
yeah, that was terrible. It's really awful when these things happen. And
but he didn't use
that
any.
guy, he didn't even use guns that he legally acquired like I did. And supposedly he didn't even get the guns from in this country. They came from out of country.
Mm-hmm.
And so that just proves once again that this ban wouldn't have stopped him.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, he was setting stuff on fire. He was going around setting cars on fire and all kinds of stuff.
He was like impersonating a police officer, and it was just a really bad situation. And the thing is it's really easy to support anti-gun legislation when you're not a gun owner and you don't really know anything about guns. You know what I mean? Because then it's an easy thing to oppose. Like if you don't know anything about guns at all, and somebody comes up and says, "Oh, do you think it would be a good idea to ban assault weapons?"
Yeah.
You would just be like,
well, of
"Oh
course,
yeah,
nobody knows what that means. It's
exactly right." Like,
well, they've already expanded to be all semi-automatics. That's what they're trying to do down here. They're trying to say all semi-automatics are assault weapons. I mean, that's what they're pretty much saying now. So,
then that's a
yeah,
term.
it's a garbage term. It's all out of California. That's where it's all coming from. That was it was Stockton, California. There was some politician out there, I believe, who came up with that term. It was somewhere, of course, California. They always seem to export wonderfulness to the rest of us. And apparently, from what I heard, I can't confirm that. You two might fact check me on that, but I think that's where that term came from, if I understand correctly. So, yeah, I mean, it's that kind of, I mean, it's a lot worse than I expected. I mean, the fact that you can't challenge any of it, so.
That's the thing. I don't even know if we'll even get a chance to actually discuss it, or like formally oppose it at all before the amnesty period's up. And if I don't hand them in when the amnesty period is done, I am like officially a criminal at that point. You know what I mean? But the problem is like I'll straight up say, I'm not about to say what I'm going to do or not going to do, but I am going to say that I do not want to hand them in. I don't want to, obviously. Right? I don't think that's
no, of course.
Clear. And
so I guess what you said that's going to be like this time period next year. You said it's going to be when you have to turn it all in.
I think it's like March of 2022. Yeah.
Where would you have to go? You have to go like to RCMP or to a police station.
And to be honest, they haven't even. They just did the ban and said, "Oh yeah, we'll give you the amnesty period and we'll buy them back at fair market value." And then that's it. Like they haven't even legislated a buyback program or how it's going to work. You know what I mean? They just expect it to happen. So,
okay, interesting. That's kind of weird. I mean, they just did that and they haven't even talked about that. I mean, that makes sense for. I mean, it's government, of course. It makes sense for the government, but I mean, it's just okay. That's kind of. I don't know, man. That's kind of weird. So, I'm trying to think what else I can ask. So, who determines fair market value? Like, what is the guidelines around that? Who determines that?
I have no idea, man. Like, I don't know how they're going to make that work, and that's why I have extreme doubts that it's going to be fair market value. I think they're just going to, redefine what is fair.
Of course.
That's just their style. They just make up the definition of whatever they want, right? Like they just redefine whatever they want. So if they want to say, because I paid $3,000 Canadian for this gun, right? And that's not including the upgrades. I put a new stock on it. I put a new magazine release on it. I put this on it, and are they going to pay me for the upgrades? Are they going to pay me what I paid retail price? Or are they going to say, oh, well, it's used, so we're going to lower it by this much? And it's not even just that. It's like, yeah, they're going to pay me, even if they do pay me every cent of what I paid for that gun, I feel like they should be paying me more for the fact that they're taking it away. Where's the compensation for the fact that I don't get to have it just because you said so, right? That's another thing. And I doubt they're going to do that.
No, yeah. They're gonna give you just here's some change, get out of here. So it's
pretty much like it is.
I mean, that's crazy.
It's gonna be a total crap show.
Yeah,
when it does happen, and I don't think any other governing party in Canada even wants to deal with it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they end up making some changes at least to the ban. And go, okay, we'll we're only going to ban this and this, not all of these, right? Or something like that, or whatever. Or extend the amnesty period. I don't know. But I don't think it'll be very smooth.
Yeah. Well, it's like Obamacare. I'm sure you've heard of Obamacare before?
Yeah, I've heard of Obamacare.
Yeah, that's probably how they'll go. They'll launch some website that doesn't work. Nobody can figure out how to use it, or if it'll keep crashing. That's just the epitome of government. They want to take over our healthcare, yet they can't even launch a freaking website and run that properly. So,
Honestly,
yeah,
like the people in government, like I know this is in the United States too, and it's kind of like that in Canada, but you got to
they've
think
been
like
there like forever. They're like
that's the
80
thing,
something
yeah.
years old.
Exactly. Like they were saying that I think on an episode of Gun Gripes on Iraq Veteran 8888, that channel. They're saying like, yeah, these people are like showing cognitive decline. Like they have been in office for like 40 plus years, you know what I mean? Or like 50 plus years. And yeah, like they have a new president every 4 years, but that doesn't mean anything's changing really. They're just more of like a figure. But like the people in Congress, and like senators in each state, like a lot of them have been there their whole professional lives, and they don't want
Mm-hmm.
newcomers changing stuff.
Well, that's pretty much bipartisan. I mean, Republicans and Democrats, they've had people, Republicans and Alaska. There's like the one senator from Alaska is like 80 something years old. He's been there since like the 80s. So it's pretty much uniparty. They're both doing that. They've been in there forever. I mean, it's
Oh yeah.
the thing about like Mitch McConnell, for example, he's been in there forever, and they've pretty much got it to where anyone challenges them, he destroys them. He destroys opposition who tries to challenge him, like someone who tries to another Republican in a primary to challenge him and get him out of there. Since he has his money, he destroys them. So yeah, I mean it's I don't know. I mean, you'd think that you would have younger people there. I mean, I guess a lot of people don't like AOC, but in a way, maybe it's kind of good that they are bringing someone who's younger and newer into the system, not just these, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Beijing Biden, as I like to call him. It's just speaking of which. So I was actually to show this one clip here of what you were talking about, cognitive dissonance or cognitive decline. Let's see if I can pull this up here. See if you can hear this.
And afterward, after the luncheon was over, I took them for candy. Don't tell their mom. I took them for candy at a place still in New York. Well, they have sort of like swinging doors. You have to get through the doors, one part of the store to the next. So here they are. Pace is packed and jammed. These kids are making all this noise over there on the side. And all of a sudden, I hear them pronounce, in order to open these doors, we do not say open sesame. We say open Biden. That's our magic word. Open Biden. I love it. Now more than ever.
Yeah, this is basically, she said, no, forget it. It's basically like she said, we don't say open sesame, we say open Biden. It's just really creepy. I thought you would hear it, but I think I think everybody's pretty much seen that. But yeah, I mean, it's a joke. It's embarrassing. But so I guess what else is going on in Canada? What else, like political topics, is going on right now? What kind of bills are they working on?
Nothing much that I can really comment on. Like I haven't even done too much research into it, because especially since like our last interview, I've been almost like trying to like disconnect from it in a way and just focus on my life. And
That's good. That's good. That's actually that's a good thing to do. I try to do that too, but I keep getting sucked into it. So
it drives me too crazy sometimes to get too wrapped up in like what's going on.
Oh, you can't. You can't.
Like I said, even when I do occasionally see the news or like anything that has to do with our government here, it's pretty much all coronavirus related.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just them not even legislating, just getting in more vaccines, trying to get more vaccines, pushing in vaccines, getting vaccines in. It's nothing but vaccines.
How long do you think that's going to drone on for?
Supposedly, we're supposed to be all vaccinated by September.
Mm-hmm.
And
so I guess let me ask you this: are they still lockdowns? Like I know Toronto and are they still doing lockdowns there, or any part of Canada?
We're not really locked down, really. Like as of right now, I think you're not allowed to have like more than a certain number of people over at your house, and you have to wear masks when you enter businesses. And certain businesses are kind of shut down, like Like I'm a kung fu teacher. That's what I do for work. And like we've been
Oh,
shut
really?
down. Yeah, we've
That's
been
cool.
shut down since like mid-March of last year, and then we reopened for a couple months, and then we got shut down again, and now we just reopened actually like last Monday. Um, and I've worked there a little bit to get things started up, but it's kind of slow. So
How big an effect do you think these lockdowns are going to have on businesses? Like, how many like small businesses do you think are going to be out of business because of this?
a lot of them are already gone. I've seen a lot that are just closed down now. It's not crazy. Like it's not like everywhere you go, it's just like closed places that are just done. And most places are, like especially food places, they're doing fine as far as I can see because people just order on Skip the Dishes like so much. I don't know. Like you guys have Skip the Dishes in the United States or something like that?
Oh, we have something similar to that. I forget. It's
DoorDash or what?
DoorDash. Yeah, Skip. I never heard of that. That's interesting.
That's what
So,
we have here. It's called Skip the Dishes. But like if you go by a restaurant here in Canada as of right now and you order something to eat, while you're waiting for your food, you'll see like 5 or 6 Skip the Dishes guys come in and pick up food to bring it to people, like the delivery service. So restaurants are they're still trucking along as far as I can see. Most bars are still trucking along. The only businesses that I think are suffering the most are probably like indoor activities.
yeah.
Like what I was doing, right? Like if you're a martial arts studio or if you're a gym of any kind, then that was probably tough. I think that was the toughest kind of business to have throughout the coronavirus, I think.
So, did you see the Artillis gym in New Jersey? Did you see what their governor was doing to them?
No.
To where they were pretty much so basically this was a gym in New Jersey, and what they were basically doing was that they shut them down. They were pretty much harassing them. They kept hitting them with tickets and fines, and I mean they actually they forcibly locked their business down. I mean they were threatening to put them in jail. I mean it was just crazy what they were doing. But did you see anything similar to that? Like they're using big government tactics to close down businesses?
No, I haven't really seen anything like that here, at least not that I've heard of. And the thing is, if it is happening, you probably wouldn't even be allowed to hear about it. But no, I haven't seen anything like that. And it's like the Canadian government has kind of been coming up with like silly rules too. Like we reopened the Kung Fu studio and they were like, okay, you can have like gyms open and stuff, but no, what do they say? It was like no, intense physical activity. And people are like, what? What do you mean?
Well, what's the definition to that? What does that mean?
Well, that's the thing. They ended up defining it. They're like anything that involves like heavy breathing or excessive sweating. And I was like,
well, there was another one to where they were going to make people wear face masks when they were running on the treadmill, which is, I mean, that's like gonna.
I taught Kung Fu classes throughout the coronavirus, like, for a little while when we reopened again, and then we got shut down again. But we were wearing masks the whole class. And it sucks because when you start sweating and breathing heavily and the mask gets wet, you're basically like waterboarding yourself.
Oh man.
So like you
That's
run out
crazy.
of breath so fast. And we lost a lot of like students doing that, like not permanently, but they're just like, we're gonna wait until we don't have to wear masks before we come back and train here because this is just this is just a pain in the face,
Yeah.
And, it's just, and we still have to do that. And like now we got that rule where we're not allowed to make people like sweat or breathe heavily.
Interesting.
Which
interesting. Who enforces this? Who determines this?
Exactly. I was like, how is that even going to get enforced? And like it was just so stupid. I didn't really get it. I was like, okay, so what are we going to do? Just sit and meditate?
I guess you look like somebody who would meditate. You look like you're getting ready to break out a mat and do some.
Well, and it's good. I like doing it, but people are coming there to train. They want to come and train, and they want to throw some kicks. They want to throw some punches. They want to throw some knees and elbows and practice takedowns and stuff like that. And
yeah,
like I honestly was totally breaking that rule.
Yeah.
I taught a class and people were sweating and huffing and puffing because for some people, like, for some people they don't sweat very easily from an exercise, and then you got other people they sweat just from trying to touch their toes.
I don't have that problem, so don't worry. But,
yeah.
yeah.
That was
So-
like if we opened bars and said, "Oh, you're not allowed to get tipsy." And it's like, what?
That's an actual regulation?
No, I just made that up as a joke.
Oh, okay. I was gonna
wouldn't
say
surprise
that
me.
it wouldn't surprise me though. I mean, they've got regulations that big. So where's my camera? That big. So I guess so basically, like in some states like Michigan and Pennsylvania and California, of course, New York. I'm sure we're going to talk about New York and what's going on there. So they were basically coming up with these regulations to where you couldn't get a haircut. You couldn't buy seeds, very strangely enough, in Michigan. Did you have anything similar to that in Canada, where they're
I
closing down
haven't heard
certain
anything like that.
businesses?
It's
Yeah.
possible it's happened here, but I haven't heard anything like that.
Okay, so they were. Well, I was talking to the guy who cuts my hair the other day. He's just like down the street from where I'm at, and he basically was saying that I don't even think he's even politically into politics or anything. But he was just sitting there asking me the same thing: why is it that I can go shop at you have Walmart there in Canada, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So he's saying, why can I go shop at Walmart, but I can't get a haircut? So
Right?
it's kind of interesting. It kind of makes you question what is the motives behind why are they closing down certain businesses and leaving others open. I mean, it's kind of I don't want to get into like conspiracy theories or anything like that, but it's kind of like a wealth transfer or something where you can shop at Walmart and give Jeff Bezos, Amazon lots of money, but you can't shop at small businesses.
Yep.
I mean, just seeing these Gestapo tactics to where they're shutting down small businesses, it's just kind of makes you wonder. But I'm not going to do conspiracy theories here. This is a conspiracy theory free zone here. So
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, you don't want to get too deep into that. Like,
yeah,
somebody even told me like that this was kind of feels like they're just trying to shut down small businesses only. And everybody else gets to stay up.
well, it doesn't make you. I don't think people are. I think it's a legitimate observation, legitimate question. It doesn't make you a conspiracy theory. That's the problem with this conspiracy theorist definition. They've expanded it so much to the point to where anybody can be considered a conspiracy theorist. And that's like they're trying to have white supremacy. Everything's white supremacy. Of course, I'm sure what happened on January 6th with the well, they call it an insurrection, but it was just a riot. So, well, actually, by the way, what were your thoughts on that? What happened on January 6th?
For the Capitol riot, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. My thoughts on that. I thought it was kind of funny because it was like one of the first like riots or protests or whatever that I've seen that like actually directly attacked the government, not just random locations. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, actually, let's go into that.
Here, I gotta be careful how I word it.
Let's go into that first. So let's actually talk. Let's go into the riot, just businesses and all that stuff first. So you saw what happened during the summer, right? What did you think happened? What are your thoughts on that what happened during the summer?
What do you mean exactly? What happened during the summer?
Like all the rioting and obviously what the officer did and his trial and everything. What are your thoughts on all that in Minneapolis?
How do I even sum it up? Like,
it was crazy. I mean, it was dragging on for. Yeah, go ahead.
You mean everything that was like going on with Black Lives Matter and stuff like that?
Yeah, like how they were just letting them riot and tear stuff up. I mean, so basically, from my perspective, I guess I'll go first and say what my perspective on it is the fact that. So basically, what I was doing, I was streaming on my channel. So they happened in like May or June. I think it was like May 25th or June. I don't remember. I think it was like right before my birthday. I remember that. So it was just like every single day, like after that day it happened, like we had that day where everything just blew up, everything was on fire in Minneapolis, and then it sort of just spread from city to city, Los Angeles, Denver, Colorado, Florida, Tennessee, everywhere where you had businesses on fire, going around smashing up small businesses, stealing TVs, tennis shoes, those all got swiped. And I think the part that drove me nuts about the whole experience is the fact that they let it happen. They let them do it. It dragged on like every single day. I remember I was sitting in bed. It was just like every single day they were just rioting, tearing stuff up, stealing. They just nobody stopped it. Everyone was just letting them do it. And what was crazy was that Donald Trump, when he was still president, which I mean, I wish he was still president. I missed the hell out of that guy, believe it or not. I miss Donald Trump a lot, but anyway, he was running to do the Insurrection Act. Where you've heard of the Insurrection Act before?
Nope.
So basically, George H.W. Bush called it. I think they did it in the 60s and during the civil rights era. So basically, you put boots on the ground military. So it's basically an insurrection. That's what it's called, the Insurrection Act. You put military and everybody, they just take control of everything on these streets. That's basically what the Insurrection Act is. Donald Trump was trying to do that, and they threatened him. The military threatened him. They said, "Oh, don't you do that. Don't you dare do the Insurrection Act." And of course, they took over. It was crazy. In Minneapolis, they took over the police station. They were in front of the White House. Have you heard of Lafayette Square, that whole tantrum they were throwing about how Trump cleared those? Trump didn't clear them, but they cleared the people away from Lafayette Square so Trump could walk in front of the church. Now they were, I'm sure you've heard of that.
I remember that, and he like stood out in front of the church with a Bible or something like that.
So basically, what the damn media didn't talk about. You heard of Bunker Boy? You heard that?
No, Bunker Boy. No, I don't think
they were calling Trump Bunker Boy because Secret Service took him to the room underneath the White House, the basement. Because what they were doing was that they had a huge, I watched the live stream, a huge crowd of people around the White House, and they were going over. They were trying to get over the fence. They were rioting. They was crazy. And the Secret Service took them underneath, and they made fun of Trump for that. So it shows you.
What else are you gonna do when you got an angry mob that looks like they're gonna try and kill you?
They did. That's what they literally did, and everybody was sitting there saying, "What?" That was trending on Twitter. They could hashtag Bunker Boy. So I mean,
oh man, Twitter. Ugh.
I mean, it was just crazy, and it's just so that dragged on for weeks. Of course, Minnesota, they sat on. Of course, Joe Biden sat in the basement on his mouth. He didn't say anything about it until the polls started getting away from it. Then he came out and said it. Came out against it. He sat on his mouth that went on for weeks. I don't even remember how long that was. For weeks, he sat on his mouth and didn't say anything. Not until the polls started turning against him. Then he came out of his basement. That's what he did during the campaign. He just sat in the basement. He didn't campaign or do anything. They were saying he didn't campaign because of coronavirus or something like that. But yeah, and then of course, they called the National Guard and they finally put a squash to all that stuff. So, and Minneapolis, I mean, they've torn the hell out of that place. To this day, it looks like Detroit almost. And I know Target a couple of months ago, I remember they were saying that they're getting out of the city. They're all going to the suburbs now, and that's what Minneapolis, a lot of these big cities are going to look like. And of course, and of course they have the trial going on right now with Chauvin. I might live stream it. I'm not 100% sure whether I'm going to actually do a video. I might live stream it on this channel. I'm not 100% sure. They were doing a jury selection. I believe the trial starts this week. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah. And of course, we had the debates, the election, and then of course January 6th. So what are your thoughts? Back to January 6th. Sorry, I wanted to talk about that first. What were your thoughts on January 6th?
I thought it was funny that I just saw a lot of hypocrisy associated with that riot. And what I mean by that is, there was a lot of good support for the Black Lives Matter riots, but then that riot happened, the Capitol storming, and all of a sudden people are like, oh, look how violent these people are. They're rioting and doing stuff and they're breaking things, and another thing that I noticed with the Capitol riot is one police officer got hurt, not even killed, just got hurt. He was getting crushed or something like that by the crowd. And so
I don't think it was even that. I think it was just he breathed in pepper spray or something.
Something like that. Yeah, I remember it was just some cop, a cop got hurt, and it was, that sucked. But what messed me up about that is the same news stations who are so anti-police were all up in that going look what these Trump supporters did to that poor police officer. How could they do that? That poor police officer, these animals just hurt him badly and stuff like that. But then
a lot of people didn't realize this, but Nancy Pelosi was actually trying to do a coup. She was actually trying to get the military to get Trump out. Like she was trying to get a hold of the nuclear codes and everything. So
Yeah,
Nancy Pelosi was trying to do an actual coup. She was trying to do 25th Amendment impeachment. Nancy Pelosi's crazy. I'm sure you know who Nancy Pelosi is.
yeah, I've heard of her. And
She's crazy. She's nuts. They got to get her out of there. I mean, she's completely she's lost her mind.
yeah,
So,
and I would take AOC over her. Like, even though AOC like straight up gets caught like lying and stuff, and just like stuff like that. Like, I don't know if you remember with AOC, she posted some pictures, I think on Twitter or something like that, of her looking through like a fence and going like,
yeah.
"Oh my God, I was appalled by all the refugees or whatever that I just saw," or something like that.
Yeah.
And then other people posted like those same pictures that they took that day from different angles, and she was looking out at like an empty field.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I
straight up
remember
lying.
that. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's just no excuse for lying like that. I mean, there's just.
That's the thing.
The fact that they have to start lying like that just completely destroys their argument. I mean, actually, I'm going to pull up, let's see here. I'm going to actually pull that up right now. Yeah, here's Nancy Pelosi's ice cream. I'm sure you can see this.
Yep.
Yeah, that's Eva Pelosi. That's our very special Nancy Pelosi, San Francisco Nancy. But yeah, I mean, that's unfortunate. That's who's running the government right now in this country is Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Beijing Biden. How did these people get in there? It just amazes me. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, unfortunately, they were actually talking about doing another Patriot Act. They wanted to completely restrict free speech and everything because of that. They were talking about doing another Patriot Act. That didn't happen, of course, thankfully. I mean, oof, man, thank you, God, that didn't happen. But yeah, they were really seriously talking about doing that. But it was interesting. They were calling it an insurrection, yet it turns out there was 0 firearms recovered. So how do you do an insurrection but no weapons or firearms? So that's, I don't know. That's kind of interesting how that how that worked out.
Political theatrics, man. That's
yeah.
That's something I've noticed the Democratic Party is really good at is political theatrics.
I'll give it to them. They're brilliant. It's brilliant.
Fantastic at that stuff.
Yeah.
Like when the Capitol was happening, she in the Capitol when that was happening, and she was like crying on camera, and she was like,
it was kind of funny. They were all hiding under the tables with bags on their heads. Did you see that?
I saw pictures from the Capitol riot, and they were just sitting on their desks, like thumbs up, like taking pictures in these people's desks and stealing like random stuff.
Did you see that guy with his feet on Nancy Pelosi's desk and the Q9 shaman?
His feet up on there. He's like,
that dude's my hero. He's my absolute hero.
That was so funny. And
it's crazy the fact that they still got him sitting in jail in Washington D.C. They're all still sitting in jail. They won't let him out. That's what they've got in Washington D.C. They've been going around arresting them. They've all brought them to Washington D.C. jails, and they're just sitting there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like with other, I'm not going to say specifics, but with other riots and protests, if anybody's caught literally on camera, smashing things and setting things on fire or assaulting people, they're just getting away with it. But as soon as it's a Republican related riot or protest, then they go after people. They want to make sure that they make an example out of people. That's how I felt like with Donald Trump. They were trying to impeach him.
Yeah.
After he lost the election, I was like, what? Yeah, I lost it. I was like, why? You guys are wasting.
It's just power. It's just
exactly.
They're just drunk on power. They're just making an example out of him. I mean, well, no. Have you heard of Ron DeSantis in Florida?
No.
So he's basically the Florida governor, and he's very, very popular in the Republican Party, and they're absolutely terrified of him. They're worried he might run for president if Trump doesn't run again. And they're constantly hitting him with coronavirus. They're saying because Florida is pretty much open right now. It's been open for a really long time now. Their Florida economy is doing very well, and they don't even have that many cases there of coronavirus. And they're afraid of him. They're trying to destroy that guy. They're hitting him with everything they have. So,
what do you think will happen? What do you think will happen if Trump runs in 2024?
Well, I mean, they've been importing our southern border is pretty much wide open. They've been importing millions and millions and millions of people into this country. Not millions. I'm. It's stupid for me to say it, but thousands of people. They've been importing people. Have you seen the border crisis they've got going on the southern border?
I have not. No.
So we have pretty much de facto open borders on the Mexico right now. I can't go up to. I'm close to Canada where I'm at. I'm close to British Columbia. I can't go up there. They'll kick me out. They'll kick me out of your country. But yeah, I can go down to come up from Mexico and go through Texas, and that's fine. They'll just wade me through. I mean, so they basically stopped border construction. They're just got detention centers full of children, kids in cages. They've just got them in blankets. It's a complete mess. And so I guess to go back to your question, it's going to depend on this HR1. They're wanting to, of course, change our election laws, no voter ID laws, no signature verification, permanent mass mail-in voting, redistricting controlled by the Democrats, everything. That's pretty much what the HR1 does. So I guess to go back to your question, it's going to depend. I mean, it's going to depend on whether or not they change our election laws, make all this mail-in voting permanent. Because if they get that through, it's done. We're not going to win anything. We're going to probably lose seats in the Congress. And the Democrats are going to have. This is what they did in California. As soon as they got a little bit of power, they just changed all the election laws, and they have permanent control of that state now. That's pretty much what's going to happen.
I think changing election laws should be the most illegal friggin' thing.
That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to ram that through for simple. They want to get rid of the 60 votes filibuster, just ram that through. No Republican votes or anything. No hearings, no nothing. Just ram that through. Change all the election laws. Yeah, it's just the problem is it just the media isn't pushing back against any of this stuff. They're just sitting here egging them on, basically. So it's going to be that, and whether or not Texas turns blue, because that's what they're trying to do right now. They're trying to turn Texas blue, trying to import. Some people may say that this is racist, but they're trying to import as many foreigners into these states as fast as they can and turn them permanently blue. And Can Trump win? I mean, without Texas, we're not going to win anything. We have to win Texas in order to win the White House. I mean, we might be, if we win Minnesota, technically we wouldn't need Texas, but that's very tricky because considering Minnesota is also another weird state where they have Minneapolis, which went hardcore Democrat. Strangely enough, even after rioting, it's weird how it seemed like the rioting actually benefited the Democrats in these cities, so they went even harder left. So, yeah, that was kind of interesting. But until then, I guess, do you have any final words? Anything else you want to add before we go?
I guess I would offer a word of advice for people in the United States, especially. There's not so much I feel like we can even do in Canada, but in the United States. All I will say is protect your amendments. Okay, protect your First and Second Amendment, ferociously, because once those amendments drop and they just start changing laws, you guys are have a lot of time on your hands. So, the amendment is the most important thing I think the United States has, the Constitution. That's, protect it. Because we don't, some countries don't have it. They don't have that. They don't have official written rights. And when you see these things happening, they're just changing election laws, rewriting rules with no discussion. Take that as a warning. As signs of something bad to come. And at the end of the day, just remember to protect your Constitution. That's what I'll leave it on, is protect the Constitution, especially the First and Second Amendments.
Yes, sir. I second that 100%. So give us a quick shout out to your channel, your social media, or anything.
It's just my gun channel on YouTube. I haven't uploaded anything to it in a while because it's just I'm just trying to stay under the radar as far as
goes.
I hope to re-upload more, or upload more stuff soon. But we'll see. So I'll try and get some new content on there and try to get things going, because it did seem to have potential. My AR video got way more views than I thought it was gonna, and so a lot of positive feedback too. If anybody on my gun channel who is following me on my gun channel is watching this, I really appreciate all the support. It's been fantastic. Nothing but positive stuff. It's been great. So. That's all I have to say though. That's my final, a word from a Canadian, from your Canadian brethren up north. Protect the Constitution.
Yes.
Do not let anybody stomp on the Constitution for any reason.
Oh yeah. Don't let them pull the public safety card and we're for the government. We're here to help. But
Yeah, no, the easiest way to commit evil is to mask it as righteousness. You know,
Yep.
it's like, you know, that's certain people throughout history did the same thing. I'm not going to name names,
Nope,
but certain
we're not
people
gonna do
throughout
that.
history did that. And look where it got a lot of people. Okay, so
yeah.
protect the Constitution. It's there for a reason. So, yeah.
All right. I think that's gonna do it, guys. I appreciate you guys for viewing. I hope you guys enjoy it. We're definitely gonna do this again. I'm gonna be doing another. This turned out pretty well. So
All
I
right, yeah,
appreciate you guys for watching. So take care, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.